from most everyone, and that's because my phone has been it broke about a week after my last video that I uploaded, and then it got fixed and finally got back to me about 2 weeks ago. And at that point my phone was reset, factory date resetted. So basically, yeah, I had to basically re-get everything back in my phone. And I haven't really been talking to that many people, but I should be coming back to regular uploads at least once or twice a week. But yeah, this video is coming out the day after you saw my notification on Instagram. If anyone still follows, or if any of you guys check that out, there's gonna be a link to my Instagram in the description. Because normally, if I'm uploading a video, I'll put it on there, what's going on, since I don't have my community tab yet. And I have been keeping watch of the channel through my brother's phones and stuff. And I want to thank you all for 600 subscribers. I'm really happy about that. And Uchiha and Kaguya Naruto will be brought back sometime in the next few days. So yeah, that's what's going on with my videos. And probably the leg goal was overly hit on the Uchiha Naruto. So yeah, part 4 will definitely be coming out, and hopefully it'll be a decently long vid, probably 15 minutes hopefully, maybe a little bit less, or maybe a little bit more or less. But yeah, without further ado, let's get started by thanking Kenshi618. This is his work, not mine. I'm just reading a fan fiction, The Sealed Kunai, Chapter 2. Without further ado, let's get started. Naruto's head was splitting. The rush of memories returning to him in that instance gave him the mother of all migraines. And the dueling memories of his time in Nei and the memories that he assured himself were implanted somehow weren't helping at all either. After hearing the confidence in Naruto's voice ring out in the forest, Sasuke spoke up. "Naruto, what happened to you? What's going on?" Naruto looked at Sasuke with one eye and back up at Gaara. I'm not entirely sure myself right now. I feel like crap, but compared to the way I've been feeling for the last 4 years, I feel amazing. It's hard to explain. He grunted. It's not important right now. I have to beat his ass. Hustle back to Konoha and find someone, like Danzo or something, that can explain all this to me. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm going to attack him and you aren't. Now, commencing operation, beat Gaara's ass. Sasuke had a myriad of questions running through his head at this point. What happened to the Dobe? Who is Danzo? What the hell does he mean I'm not fighting? Gaara heard his voice speaking to Sasuke the entire time and cackled to Naruto across the leaves. "You aren't strong enough, Uzumaki. Leave them behind and run. Nothing has changed. You still don't fight for yourself." Gaara flung more sand shuriken at Naruto, who scoffed and grabbed Sasuke by the back of his collar and ducked and weaved out of the way of the projectiles. After he had gotten through them all, he dropped Sasuke back on the branch and scoffed. "Pathetic. I'm slow as dirt. Is my muscle atrophy or something? I became a ninja anyway, which means I should be conditioned like a Genin. I should have kept my speed at least." Gaara looked at Naruto, looking himself over after dodging with Sasuke. This angered him. It was like Naruto was ignoring his existence, just like everybody else. Just like everybody else. "Don't ignore me!" Gaara had mouths appearing all over his body as he took a deep breath and released it ahead. Futon, Mugen Saiten Daitpa. And that is wind release sandstorm devastation. Gaara released a massive blast of air in a sandstorm in Naruto and Sasuke's direction, tearing off branches and cutting into the dark bark of trees. As the wind died down, Gaara couldn't see Naruto or Sasuke. No sign of either one of them. It's a shame. Gaara turned around to see Naruto standing behind him, right before Naruto's fist lift him off the branch and sent him crashing to a lower level. Naruto crouched on the branch and watched Gaara try to stand. You had a defense that only the fastest could bypass, and only the strongest could breach. And what do? You cast it away for raw power when things get a little tough? Raw power can only overwhelm skill and finesse and extreme qualities. Naruto pointed at Sasuke, who was over by Sakura, Pakon, and Gamakichi. You beat him in this form because he was already burned out when you transformed. He used Chidori twice here, once during your fight in the stadium, and I'm sure he tested it one time when he and Kakashi were late. If he had more shots, you wouldn't have won. He smirked down at Gaara. I don't know what happened to me all those years ago, but I'm not the kid that you just had Kagebushin flying all over the place anymore. I could beat you like that, but that wouldn't be very fun. After all this time, I can finally fight like I used to, if only a little bit. I'm still not fast enough to avoid taking hits, but I can almost assure you that however hard you hit me, a feral grin came on Naruto's face. I'll hit you twice as hard. So let's see who can still stand up when this is all over. Naruto's hand moved unconsciously to his back before he pulled it down, clicking his teeth. Damn, that's right, I don't have a sword. Seriously, what happened to me? These phantom urges fight like I was trained are going to get me killed if I don't get it together. Gaara stood with a growl. You aren't stronger than me. You fight for the Uchiha. You fight for the pink-haired girl. Fighting for others makes you weak. Naruto scoffed. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. There are detailed stories of mere mortal men overcoming demons for others. The Andane Hokage overcame the Kyuubi no Yoko for his village. Orochimaru fights for himself. You fight for yourself. And that's how you will both lose here today, because you don't have a purpose to fight. Naruto cracked his knuckles. But let me show you just how strong I am. Don't blink. One flash tag later, and Naruto's presence was gone from the area. Everyone looked around for any sign of the blonde boy, who had changed from the orange loudmouth they had taken him for based on past experience. Chuckling rang through the forest, but not from any particular area, as Naruto was projecting his voice. That little sandstorm from earlier wasn't a futon jutsu. This is a futon jutsu. Naruto then said, when released, Gale Palm. A fierce gale came from the trees above, sending wind and weapons at Gaara from above. Gaara lifted his arms to block vital spots and allowed the kunai and shuriken to bury themselves into him. Gaara lowered his hands and shouted out loudly, is that the best you have, Uzumaki? Come out and fight me. Give me a real fight. Let me feel alive. Naruto's voice rang out again in mocking laughter. If you wanted to feel alive, quotation marks around alive, then you shouldn't have caught those weapons. Even with all that power, you're still just a baby Genin, huh? Just listen and tell me what you hear. Everyone silenced himself in order to listen for Naruto's warning. Tamari's eyes widened. Too late to help, a hissing noise coming from Gaara was being muffled by the sandy appendage. He had caught the mashed ninja tools. Gaara, no! Tamari's shout of warning did no good. It was too late for him. To cast him out of a massive explosion shook the place in the trees. And the fireball that used to be Gaara fell to the forest floor. The others could only look in amazement, as the goofy boy in orange was systematically decimating the strongest portion out of them all. Naruto's voice rang out again. Damn it, I should have just killed you. Gaara was like a puddle of melting sand on the ground as Naruto spoke. I guess my fake self is more influenced over me than I thought. I should be down there killing you right now, but for old time's sake, I guess I'll hit you with an attack inspired by him. Suddenly, several Narutos rushed out of the foliage and kicked Gaara into the air, one after another. Ki. His Gaara was stuck hanging in the wave of orange revealed itself from the leaves above. Countless Kagebushin from Naruto descended with their fists and feet cocked to strike. Naruto Nisei Renden, which means Naruto Uzumaki 2000 Barrage. Naruto's Bunshin dropped an obscene amount of physical offense in Gaara's prone form, driving him back onto the ground hard. Naruto and his clones lifted the trees, looking down at Gaara. Naruto sighed yet again. If I was at full strength, he'd be in a puddle in a crater right now. Someone's going to answer for this. Gaara looked up at the massive Naruto Bunshin looking down on him. Each of them had the same uninterested look on their faces, as if they were trying to ignore him. Cold blue eyes, magnified by 1,000, staring down on him. There's no way. Gaara allowed the final shred of sanity and reasoning inside him to snap. There's no way I'm going to lose to a guy like that. The original Naruto eyes widened as Gaara's chakra spiked. Oh crap, he can transform again? Naruto was blown back hard as Gaara was completely immersed in sand, swelling to the sky. Naruto's Kage Bunshin were expelled as Gaara's towering sand smashed them asunder. Gaara ended up sticking out of the head of Shukaku, looking down on Naruto, who was covered in sand. It's too late, Uzumaki. Time to die. Like I said, power cleanly outclasses skill only in overwhelming quantities. Naruto sat, entirely cased in Gaara's Subaka Kyu. Well, this is great. I'm too weak to break it. Now what? Naruto smirked as he remembered that he didn't stop learning things when he lost his memory. You're a Sannin. You might have been useful after all. Naruto bit his thumb and made a few hand signs. Gaara put on his right hand, Subaku sus? And then Naruto says, Summoning Jutsu! In a massive burst of smoke, Naruto found himself seated atop the head of Gambuta, smirking out at Gaara. You don't think it would be that easy, did you? Naruto looked down at Gambuta. Hey there, Boss Toad. You want to help me out and take this jerk down with me? He's a little too big for me to handle alone at this time. Gambuta directed his gaze up at Naruto. Something feels different about this Gaki. Like he isn't as frantic and spastic as he was the last time I saw him. Gambuta huffed out smoke from his pipe. Ichibi no Shukaku. No can do, kid. Why would I want to go out of my way to fight a guy like that? Naruto deadpanned the giant Toad look. I thought summons were supposed to help their summoners fight in situations like this. Naruto pointed at Gaara, Shukaku / looking at that thing. If you don't help me, then I'll end up a bloody smear on the bottom of its foot for sure. Gambuta laughed. Tough. We haven't even had a drink yet. I can't accept you as my summoner until we share a drink together. Naruto glared down at him. You'd better be one supplying them, because my getting ass can't afford enough liquor to get you even slightly buzzed. Gamikichi then appeared and landed on Naruto's head. Oh, help him out, Pops. I like this kid. Gambuta looked at the smaller Toad in surprise. Gamikichi, what on earth are you doing here? Gamikichi looked at his father sheepishly. I just wanted to come out and see the outside world, you know. He pointed over to Gaara Shukaku, and then that guy tried to bully me. Our boy here kept me alive and started kicking that guy's butt. But then he cheated and got all big. And now here we are. Gambuta glared at the Sand Spirit. Alright then, Gaki. You helped out my son. I appreciated that. You have my support in this fight. But we're still having that drink later. You hear? Naruto stood up and nodded, but his face hardening as he looked at Gaara. Gamikichi, you're going to want to get off my head for this next part. Gamikichi got off Naruto's head as Gambuta drew his tauntail and held it at the ready. Whenever you're ready, Boss Toad, give him hell. Gambuta launched forward and dug his sword into Shukaku's arm. With one mighty heave, he lopped it off, dropping it uselessly onto the ground before he jumped back to the distance and stared at his opponent. Gambuta huffed in exhaustion. That almost took everything I had, and all I took was his arm. Naruto smirked at Gambuta. Wow, and I thought I was out of shape. I've been out of full commission for 4 years. What's your excuse? What? And then Gambuta eyed the boy. Watch it, brat, or I'll squash you. The smile disappeared from Naruto's face as he returned out their mutual feel. Kill me later, we still have a problem. Gaara looked at Naruto excitedly. Interesting, Naruto Uzumaki. I like this. This is a fantastic battle. Gaara thawed his hands into the ram seal. Tanuki, feigning sleep technique. Shikaku's star-shaped pupils span wildly as he yelled to the sky. I'm free! Naruto kept an impassive face. He just made this a lot more difficult, didn't he? Gambuta nodded to the boy on his head. Why wouldn't he? Alright, let's try something here. Shukaku inhaled deeply. Wind release, drilling air bullet. He launched a massive airball at Gambuta, who prepared his own attack. Water release, liquid bullet. Naruto flew through his own hand signs. Let's give you a boost, Boss Toad. Wind release, great breakthrough. Naruto let out a massive crushing wind that sped up Gambuta's water bullet, forcing it to obliterate Shukaku's attack on contact. It continued on to collide with the demon itself, knocking it off balance and sending it to the ground. Sasuke was watching the fight with envy. Naruto had seemingly hit some mental switch in his head, and now Gaara couldn't even touch him. What kind of power is this? This Naruto is completely different from the one I've been working with for so long. Tamari was completely overwhelmed. She had left to find Kankuro after Gaara had fully transformed and returned, thinking that Gaara had killed Naruto and moved along towards Konoha. She wanted to bypass him entirely and avoid his killing spree. When she returned, she was shocked to see that Naruto was not only still fighting, not only forcing Gaara into a full possession, he was winning. She and Kankuro had to check to make sure they weren't dreaming. This boy, he isn't normal. How can he keep pace with Gaara? Scene shift. Naruto looked down at Gamabunta. So how do we end this? Gamabunta was impressed by Naruto boosting his attack. He knew it would have been a stalemate otherwise. This really isn't the same kid from last week. Gamabunta remembered that Naruto had asked him a question. We need to wake up the host. The boy is on the head. You need to wake him up. Naruto frowned and grunted. Killing him would be easier, way easier. We can just pepper him with big attacks until Gaara's big red head blotched on his forehead. He's totally exposed. That's ruthless, Gaki. It's an idea that would give us more problems than answers, though, I'm afraid. Killing the medium in the midst of a full possession can end up with a demon being freed. It already has a form to go with its soul, so it wouldn't need the host in that instance. The blonde nodded. Okay, so we wake him up. It is then. He furrowed his brow and thought, but all my attacks that I can launch from here could kill him. I need you to get in close so I can wake him up. Gamabunta looked at his hands. These webbed hands of mine aren't much for grabbing hold of things. How do you suggest I get him? Naruto scoffed. I said to get close. I didn't say grab him. I can reach him myself. Don't you worry. Gamabunta prepared to charge. As Shukaku reached an upright position once more, Naruto closed his eyes to get in touch with his inner demon. Naruto's mindscape. Naruto appeared in the sewer of his mindscape in front of the Kyuubi's prison. Naruto looked around and shook his head. God, this place is a dump. I didn't leave this place looking like this. Demonic laughter rang from behind the bars in front of him. No, you didn't, Ningen. Whoever placed the seal on you messed with your mental functioning and reverted your mind into a dump, as you can plainly see. Naruto nodded. So will it get better? Because this is seriously depressing. Wait, seal? There was a seal on me? Yes, Kit. If your mind goes back to the way it was before years ago, then your mindscape will return to its former state. There was a seal placed on you after your disastrous mission in Oto. I can't tell you who did it because I was unconscious from using so much chakra to heal your wounds and keep you going until you reached the border. I woke up here again. Needless to say, I wasn't too happy. Naruto laughed slightly. So that's why you were pissed off when I showed up here last time. You tried to freaking eat me, you know. Why didn't you say anything? Kyuubi huffed and sat down in his haunches, letting its snout touch the floor. First of all, would you other self have been taught to mistrust me, believe me in the first place? If I had tried to tell you about it, I would have been harmed by the seal, as would you. It was a memory seal. Whoever placed it on you placed many things on with you that coincided with one another. You forcibly broke one, the chakra restrictor, and allowed me to force a chain reaction with the rest of your mental seals to free your mind. Naruto smiled at the massive Kitsune. Well, I guess I owe you one soon then. But right now, could you give me a shot of your chakra for old time's sake? I need to smack down your karma Chukaku without killing Sos. The ground in Naruto's mind rumbled as Kyuubi jumped to its feet, tails waving behind it excitedly. Really? You need my help again after so long? Alright then, kid, why not? I just wish I could experience the fight through your eyes and other senses like I used to. Naruto smirked as the red chakra engulfed his body. Well, after we survive this, I'll set up my mind the way I used to so you can. It's the least I can do. I missed being so badass. Naruto slowly faded from his mindscape as the Kyuubi lay back on the ground. I did too, kid. I did too. Naruto's eyes shot open as his body filled with Kyuubi's chakra. Almost simultaneously, Gamabunta charged at Shukaku. As the two massive creatures got closer, they both shot off their projectile attacks again. Naruto judged the distance just as the smoke from the collision of attacks rose. This is close enough, I guess. Naruto crouched deeply and propelled himself high over Gamabunta's head, leaping over the explosion and propelling himself above Shukaku's head. Naruto hovered overhead for a second before forcing Wind Chakra out through his hands, accelerating his descent. This is going to be amazing! Naruto fell at high speed, aiming up for Gaara, who stuck sleeping on Shukaku's head. Wake up, you pasty bastard! Naruto delivered a double stomp right at the top of Gaara's head, driving him completely through the Shukaku figure, forcing it to collapse on himself as they crashed to the ground amid a deafening roar as sand crashed around the trees. Gambuta stood slack-jawed in Naruto's vicious, reckless attack on Shukaku. The kid jumped from the relative safety of his head, 30 feet higher than he already was, towards a crazed homicidal demon. The more amazing thing was that it actually worked. He hit Gaara with the force of his body weight, focused into his feet, from 30 feet above his head, making the impact more intense by using Wind Chakra to send him down faster. After the attack, he softened his landing considerably, after he destroyed Shukaku as he landed in sand that had been tenderized by his previous attack. Gambuta was broken from his wounds by his son. I like that kid, Pops. He's insane. Can I hang out with him more often? Gambuta chuckled. If he allows it, Gamachiji. Jiraiya is sure pretty interesting the one this time. I'll be watching you, Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto stood up and shook the sand off his body, dragging Gaara out with him and dropping him on the ground. Watching him look over there, heavy fear. Stay away from me! I don't want to die! Naruto slapped Gaara across the back of her head. Act like a shinobi, damn it. We deal in death for a living. Besides, I'm not going to kill you. You're a weapon like me. He dropped Gaara onto the grass and walked away slightly. You're a weapon that I broke already. While you can be repaired, most of the time a repaired weapon is easier to break a second time around. He turned back to look at Gaara. His cold blue eyes turned back to their formerly bright nature. I'll beat you down every time you try to harm me or anyone in my village, because only when you fight to protect and defend others can you be powerful and find the strength to push beyond your limits. Naruto looked at the trees. Sasuke, your training question landed by his side. Is Sakura-chan safe? Was I fast enough? Sasuke nodded. Yeah, Naruto, you saved her. Naruto looked back at Gaara just as his siblings landed and prepared for a fight. Naruto shook his head at the two Suna ninja. I just beat the guy that terrorized you since he was 6, and I still have enough chakra that I'm gonna sprint back to Kunai and finish up the battle there. You both already got your asses kicked by this guy in Shino, and he looks like he's ready to go another round. Do you really think you can beat us if you're stupid enough to attack us? Kankuro and Temari bristled at Naruto's nonchalant threat as he shrugged. Fine, be that way. We'll just knock you out and drag you to the village, and by we, I mean them. Naruto pointed behind them as two Kagebunshin War Shadow clones bashed them in the back of their heads with the blend of their kunai. Naruto looked back at Sasuke. Alright, Tame, go get Sakura and pack on and we'll get out of here. We still have a battle to fight. Sasuke went to gather up Sakura as Naruto took tying up the Suna ninja and hoisting them on his back of his clone's shoulders. As they set off through the trees, Naruto mentally braced himself. How could I let myself be caught? Damn it. If I had never been sealed, then I would have been able to warn Danzo that Orochimaru was planning an invasion and amassing forces. I hope things aren't as bad as they seemed at the stadium. Konoha. Jiraiya stood atop the head of his massive toad summon as he watched Konoha forces engaging Suna and Noto Fortress. Despite the fact that they had driven the enemy out of the heart of the city, the enemy had putting up a dogged fight. Suddenly a beak landed atop the toad's head. Jiraiya-sama! Jiraiya put his telescope and turned to face him. A beaky report. Jiraiya-sama. Lord Jiraiya, our forces were caught in several ambushes as they chased the enemy forces out of the village. They ended up getting caught in a crossfire by some Oto ninja that they held back. Jiraiya groaned. They would win, but such an unnecessary loss of life was unsettling. Just as he was about to try and switch the topic, he saw Beaky smile. But when they were closing in on our forces, they got sacked by a lone ninja of Konoha wearing bright orange. If they saw correctly, he was moving too fast for some of them to catch. Jiraiya's eyes widened. There's only one kid I know that is color blind enough to run around this place in orange. Abiki nodded. At the same time, a Kagebushin of Uzumaki and Sasuke Uchiha arrived at the hospital with their female teammate, And on the other side of town, he delivered the children of the Kage to a makeshift PWO site in good condition too. Biki's scratching under his bandana. I saw how good the kid could be during the fight with Hyuga, but I never would have guessed that he was good enough to take down a squad like that. Biki, you shouldn't talk about me like I'm not there. They both look around to see Naruto tapping his foot impatiently. Although I guess you didn't know I was here. Jeej, if I was an assassin, you'd both be dead. Jiraiya looked at Naruto oddly. He could sense his usual restless aura, and he had snuck up on him. Gaki, what happened to your jacket, and what's with that scar on your face? Naruto ditched his orange jumpsuit and left himself in a black t-shirt. I tossed that piece of crap so I could move faster to get here without much trouble. And I got the scar years ago. Someone put a bunch of seals on me that did a lot of stuff to me. Hiding that scar must have been one. Naruto saw Jiraiya flinch when he spoke about the seals. We can talk about that later. We will talk about that later. Ibiki gasped as he looked out over the buildings and saw Orochimaru being whisked away by the sound 4. Naruto growled and crouched away down like a track runner, preparing to take off in a hot pursuit until Jiraiya grabbed his collar. You're not fresh, kid. You can't take Orochimaru and his entire force of bodyguards alone. Naruto looked at him blankly. I'm not alone. You should be strong as he is, right? And Ibiki can help me beat his entourage and help you. If he's running away, then that means he knows he's lost today. He might be hurt. We can turn this retreat into a rout and finish him here. Jiraiya was about to respond just as he cloaked honorably on the toad, bowing to Jiraiya. Lord Jiraiya, it's about Lord Third. Jiraiya grinned widely. So sorry, Toby. Sensei went the old snake back to his hole, did he? Hokage-sama was killed in the combat against Orochimaru. The three ninjas looked stunned and silent top of the toes, the sounds of battle still ringing out in the air. Naruto looked at Jiraiya and looked down at him. That's enough death for one day, kid. It's time to regroup and mourn. Naruto said nothing and followed Jiraiya back to the shooting exam stadium. He'd get his answers later. He had nothing but time. Now belonged to the entire village as a whole. Alright guys, so yeah. That was the chapter. I hope you all enjoyed it. Sorry my voice is a little raspy, but I can't really control that. Whenever I talk for long periods of time, my voice gets raspy. But yeah, this was my first video in a while. Hope you guys liked it. And I just want to mention, I forgot to add this in like the update, but I'm hopefully gonna start adding like one of these, like one sealed kunai a week. So yeah, I'll probably like post one Reddit a week and then one sealed kunai. So yeah, that's probably what I'll be doing. And then yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for like taking time out of your day to watch the video. And yeah, I hope you all enjoy. Later.